Coach Rick from Nuts and Bolts Sports, sports performance media personality. And who do I have as my guest today on the training room? This is episode 2. So the title of today is Reflections and Preparation, especially coming off the first half of the offseason with New York City football, getting into now spring camps, school's about to be over. So my guest, the esteemed, who do I have in front of me, Coach? Introduce yourself to the people.
What's going on, people? As you can see by the little title, Coach L, but the name is Rudley Larison, founder, owner of Lineman Factory, based here in New York.
All right. So, Coach, a little bit of background, I guess, for both of us. Can you backtrack and remember where we kind of met? Because, like, this football life is funny. You just cross paths so many times with people. You give daps on the 50, or people pull up to where you're training and vice versa. And all of a sudden, you kind of just connect with people, and then it just whoosh, and you just kind of take off from there.
I think we met back in about 2015-16 when I officially started Lineman Factory. It was just one of those situations where we just crossed paths because we had kids. I had kids that actually trained with you at Paxplex, and it was just a situation where we crossed paths. I think the first time we actually had a conversation about training and everything else was at one of my daughter's dance recitals because you were one of the trainers for a dance team that she was competing against.
Right.
And that's kind of what sparked.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I definitely remember that. Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we kind of started. At the time, I was still coaching for a high school team at Christ the King High School at the time.
And so in that place where we, the hub where we, obviously would always beat up with Paxplex, but more importantly, it was Prototype, So shout out to ePro Nation always. But getting to the purpose of this episode for today. So the training room it's my platform that I've been, blessed to be a part of with Nuts and Bolts Sports. And the goal of it is not just to showcase coaches from the New York City area, but it was like to finally give us a voice, right? Because usually in media, you're always going to hear the athlete, obviously, number one, because athletes are talent. You're going to hear the head coach. And everyone else, keep your mouth shut. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it comes down to, you know what I'm saying? And we accept that role because, truth be told, like it's the head coach's boat. Like it's their boat, And we play our role in the ecosystem. And I always use that phrase from Anthony Davis, the founder of Ion Performance Care, because he's the one that coined it. So I will always give credit to that, But we have voices. I mean, like we talk all the time, and we're an integral part of this whole process going forward. And so myself as a sports performance coach and yourself as a position coach as sports for linemen, I like to talk. I talk a lot. So my producer, my boy Jeff Barnes introduced me to Joe Corso, who did not. This is his platform, so I'm now honored to be a part of it. So like just getting to the nitty gritty of it, what I'm saying? Like this initial season, right? So the reflection part, let's focus on the reflection before we get into the preparation, right?
Gotcha.
Well, to introduce myself, like I'm the strength coach at Canarsie High School in Brooklyn, New York. All right. So to preface that, and but you first, talk your talk, man. Like, how was the from January to spring? So that's January 1st. So let's say January to March. How was that?
I'll say January to March. So it's a little different for me because what I do is I provide position-specific training. So, my guys are normally, they're fresh off their season. Those guys who were made the playoffs and done with state and their states and whatever else that they were doing, they're normally done by mid-December.
Right.
So we normally start up with them mid-January, early February, just depending on, just depending on the atmosphere.
Right.
And what our phase one normally is, it's one, get them back into movement. And two, start preparing them for their camps, their combines, their, their exposure camps.
Right.
Because those normally start, late March, early April, and run through June.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, as far as what we do, like we do everything in phases at Lyman Factory. So our first phase is getting them back into that movement, getting them back into their stance, start tweaking little things to get them ready for that combine.
Right.
For that combine, for that one-on-one, for that exposure camp environment. Because
right.
truth be told, some of it is, some of it does translate to football, but for linemen, it's not really football.
Right.
And because everything is, I don't say because it's structured, but you're taking away a lot of little intricacies that play a factor in what makes a lineman a lineman.
Mm-hmm.
When you do these one-on-ones, it's already preset that guess what? It's a pass set versus a pass. It's a pass rush versus a pass set. You're taking away little advantages that, negate each other. The D-line the D-line's already coming full bore. He doesn't have to worry about, guess what? If I come full bore, and it's a run play, I might overrun the play. So it kind of shortchanges the offensive lineman.
Right. And it's funny because, like, on the flip side, so our season, so this is my first full year of being part of our 7-on-7 team going forward, right? And so that was an experience to itself because, initially I was not against it, but it was like I knew it had an obvious purpose, but it also clashed timing-wise with off-season training. Yeah. So I had to become a believer and see the value in 7-on-7. So it wasn't like I didn't understand it. It's the fact that kids that were doing 7-on-7, I know that if you needed to make the jump to improve, obviously, on your strength, your speed, etc., that's what the off season's for. So now you're going to 7-on-7 tournaments and you're right off your season, so there's no rest, and you're not getting better at these tournaments. 7-on-7, in my opinion, is to polish off the diamond. Yeah. But if you're not refined yet, it's like you're just going from camp to camp to camp to camp. And parents are coming out of pocket with their money doing this. So it's fundraising, whatever. It's not like we have major sponsorship for this to be free. So at first I was really like mad, to be honest, like, it wasn't at the 7-on-7, culture as far as the value of it. It was the kids. It was like, what are you thinking? Like, how are you prioritizing going on 7-on-7, paying money out of pocket when you undersize your position? You need to get better as a football player, period. You need to get into the weight room. You need to make the jump because these teams are going up against the best of the kids at your age range, at your group, all over the nation, up and down the East Coast. And when you get down into the South, you already know how they give it up down there, Yeah. So as the season wore on, the more and more I saw the value in it, where as far as the genuine networking with coaches, that's the number one thing. Right. Kids really showcasing against great talent outside your city, outside your state. So then I became like a believer in a sense, what I'm saying? Like completely all in, and I get its value, but I always will tell any kid, any athlete, any coach, any parent, be discerning in how many tournaments you get entertained when you do this, and don't let it shortchange your off-season development. Let it complement it, because some kids that were like did perform like poorly. Let's be honest, they wet the bed because they were not ready for this moment. And then when they stayed home, they started, because I watch everything, and they stayed home and started going back to their position coaches and doing off-season training, whatever, to get better at the craft. I'm like, good, because you need that. So then you can pick and choose now which tournament to pull up to and showcase your skills that you've gotten better. Because at this point, this is pretty much like AAU football now, like AAU basketball,
Yeah. So to that, I say this, I get what you're saying, but here's how I look at 7-on-7, because you're not the only person to express that. Mm-hmm. Here's how I look at the 7-on-7 and the combine and the camp series. Even now with the linemen, we have the big man series now, where it's almost like the big man version of 7-on-7, where you have travel teams going across state lines to take on the best offensive and defensive linemen across state. And it's like you said, football has now kind of adapted that AAU aspect of basketball. So here's how I see it in that sense. I see it in the sense of when we've taken what used to be, yes, the offseason was initially training, but for guys like myself and other guys, I was a multi-sport athlete in high school. I didn't become football specific focused until college, where football didn't become year round for me until I got to college. So in high school, right now I'm in full swing for lacrosse right now.
Right, right.
It's June. Guess what? We're getting ready for we just finished state championships for lacrosse. And then during the summer is when I would transition to, okay, full blown off season lifting. And, I knew I had X amount of weeks to get the XYZ done. But
right.
I was lucky enough that at my high school, we had almost, a college style setting where we had an athletic director that understood what it took to play just about any sport on the next level.
Right.
So I didn't miss lifts. So guess what? Okay, Rudley, you're going to play lacrosse in the off season. Right. So you're not going to lift with your team in the evening. You're not going to be, we're not worried about your conditioning because you're going to be conditioning with the lacrosse team. But guess what? You now have 6 a.m. lifts.
Right. And now to get to bullet pointed questions. So these are things that we coaches hear about all the time, like coach talk, coach speak, schedules, time off, whatever. The one thing that always gets to me, this whole thing about, no days off. Right. And another one is, all gas, no breaks. Yeah. I'm going to address the second one from a sports performance point of view. Right.
Got you.
We are high performance vehicles, correct?
Correct.
I like to compare my guys to either Lambos, the Batmobile, or stealth fighters. But at the end of the day, it's about ME, movement efficiency. Keep it simple. If you're a car guy, car girl, car enthusiast, whatever, right? You cannot have linear speed without lateral control. So the whole idea of all gas, no brakes, meaning your car drives into a wall. Yeah. And you see this all the time with kids, literally, because everything's so specialized and they only do one thing. Their brakes are terrible. You ask them to run full speed and they come to a stop because they don't know how to naturally decelerate and change direction. They blow right by you, hit the wall. And so every time I've heard that phrase, it's like I want to just, I really just want to backslap whoever came up with the term. Like I just want to find whoever it was, like on some Looney Tunes stuff. Like I want to go back in time and just find the person who said it the first time before a court route and just slap the crap out of you because you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like this show, they'll edit it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because it's like we need the real, honest to God, like real talk conversations about like these terms and this and that, because like our kids just don't have the discernment that they should have because they're too young. And then point blank, you have a lot of coaches out there that are bloody incompetent. Let's just call it for what it is. They don't know the craft. They don't choose to learn the craft. They just copy and paste. And then the ones like us who actually know it, lived it, breathed it, studied it, played it, done it, want to get better at it, we get lost in the sauce.
Yeah. So I'm going to agree with you. Like, I agree with you in the sense of we have to be careful with how we verbalize what we want from our athletes.
Right.
One thing that I can honestly say is I've had coaches, I've had parents, I've had players who played for a long time, not necessarily for me, because like I said, just a little background, I've coached football itself nearly 20 years. Mm-hmm. So outside of running a business, training offensive and defensive linemen, I actually was a coach for a long time. And one thing I realized in the last few years is my terminology. Like, for example, as an offensive line coach, we're notorious for telling our guy, get his head across the guy. So now you have guys, think about it, if I keep telling you, get your head across, you're going to literally move your head across the guy, putting your head in harm's way. Mm-hmm. And with what we know now with CTE and, all the different head traumas that come, we have to be careful what we say. So now I don't tell my guys, get your head across the guy.
Right.
I don't tell my guys, I'm careful with my words. I don't tell my guys, to meet him with your screws. These are all terms that were used with me when I was playing. Mm-hmm. And I look back at it and I realize what I was doing because they're young athletes. They take it literal.
Yeah, they definitely do. Yeah.
So same thing with the terms, no days off, all gas, no breaks. The kids will take it literally to the point where you'll have kids who you'll tell take an off day, take a rest day. And because they're not training with you or somebody else, they'll go out and train on their
own. They'll go get work somewhere else. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I had that situation where it was a JV player, right? Yeah. And he was raw, new kid. And I told him, on the weekends, don't do any positional training, anything by yourself, right? So what did he do? He did it with his dad. You know what I'm saying? So listen, right?
Listen, you told him not to do it by himself.
He didn't, right?
Listen.
He didn't do it, right? But then I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, my guy. He said, no, but I did it with my dad. I said, no offense to your dad, but when I told you not to do anything by yourself, it's because you need to be with a coach to do the work that you need to get done effectively. So you working out with your dad, no disrespect to your pops, but it's like, he's not qualified. The reason why you're with us, so he doesn't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's not us. So it's like, you know, so, and it's like, and it's never a shot at my parents, but it's like, look, it's like simple. I'm not going to send, you know, if I need my taxes done, I'm not going to go to a mechanic, and vice versa.
Agreed.
You know, that's just real talk. That's the reason why your parents trust us to not only send you to the schools you go to, but to put you in a place to work with the coaches, because I don't know, this is just what we do, you know? So but like you said, how they take things absolutely literally, you know, they follow instructions like a robot. And I tell them all the time, like, I don't work with robots. Like, you're a human with a human soul, correct? Yes? Right. Are you a robot? No? Okay, so stop acting like one. And that took months to playfully, because I do everything from a fun place. You know what I'm saying? Like, the one thing where I definitely want this platform our voice on this platform to take off. I don't want it to just be the regular talking shop stuff, man. I want it to be fun. I want it to be informative. I want it to have like that flavor where it's like, you know what, we're just having a conversation, like we're at the barber shop, just kicking it, but at the same time, you're still learning while we're having fun and learning, you know? So I'll mess with them like, okay, repeat after me. I am a real boy. It just starts, right? You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you conduct yourself. And until you stop sounding like a robot, I'm not gonna coach you. Yeah. I got another question. I rate my week. This is how I'll see my week. You know, obviously Mondays. Thursday is the best. Thursday is my favorite day of the week. So Thursday is the shenanigans Thursday. Wednesdays is violent Wednesday. Friday is either effed up Friday or free fall Friday. Tuesday is practice Thursday, and Monday is reverse Friday. So because like I have to do this, in working with kindergarten for 3 years, it has fundamentally changed my life when I worked at PS 272, right? And so I said to myself, in all of the suffering and all the stuff these kids do, like, this is a job for them. This is a job now. From the time they realize the path, so hey, you know what, I want to be a scholarship athlete, not a football player, but a scholarship athlete, it becomes your job.
Yep.
And like your phrase, right? Clock in, right? Which one we gonna get on that, right? Clocking in, right?
Yep.
So there has to be fun in the suffering. Has to.
Oh yeah.
It has to be there. Like, in my brain, my kids don't realize it's like, how much of the series I come across, like, yo, in my head, it's either I'm balancing either Dave Chappelle skit, Rick and Morty, or some type of other shenanigans in my head at the same time while I'm coaching.
Yeah.
Because I have to do this to find the joy in it all the time, because it's like to constantly be grinding these athletes, you know, better. That's why I stopped saying bigger, better, stronger, faster, speed, agility, quickness, agile, hostile, mobile.
Yeah.
Where's the fun?
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, so with progress, there's always a negative side, right? You know, I don't know when this is going to air, but I'm assuming by the time this air, my birthday will have been passed. I'll be 43.
Right.
And I've seen the change in how we present our athletes and everything we do, and the exposure our athletes have. And yeah, you're right. It's a bit from the time an athlete makes the decision that, yo, this is what I want to do, this is how I think I'm going to pay for college or everything else. The fun kind of gets sucked out of it early.
It does, man.
Because for me, I didn't realize that this was a business until I got to college.
Right.
So the introductions for me to business side of it was in college. So up until even through high school, it was even when in high school, when I started getting letters my junior year, and I was like, oh shoot, I can actually go to college for free.
Right.
It's still fun. Don't get me wrong. The light went off in my head and it started getting focused, but it was still fun. Now these kids, because they're being exposed at such a young age to the business part, you're right. It's up to us to make it fun, because the one thing that I was always told And again, I'm referencing my high school athletic director.
Mhm.
He's also the person who kind of guided me into the coaching field, because I was one of those athletes. Listen, I'm going to play forever. When I'm done playing, I'm just going to chill, take care of my kids, and enjoy life. I didn't see myself as a coach, but he saw me as a coach very early on. Gentleman by the name of Alan Arbuse.
Okay.
He used to be the PSAL director. Public School Football League director, commissioner here in New York. He passed away a while back, but he was also my athletic director in high school. And the one thing he used to always tell me, you got to have fun doing this.
Right.
And when it's no longer fun, that's when you need to stop.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's still a game.
Right.
And yes, it's the business aspect is still going to come into play, because now you have a dollar sign attached to you. And for us, we didn't have the dollar sign attached to us till we're in college. These kids have dollar signs attached to them now in Pop Warner.
Yeah, from Pop Warner. Yeah, it's crazy. On. When I look at the whole landscape now, as far as when does that shift happen? Right. When I start looking at it, it's like, one, when you're a Pop Warner, look, you're playing football, fine. Either you want to play it or your parents want to make you play it, fine, whatever. Then now you get out of Pop Warner, you start getting into middle school, right? Now you're like, all right, I'm good. Now here comes the attention now. The attention from, the swags, the chest pops up a little bit, the girls start checking for you, all that good stuff, right?
Yep.
And then you go from I play football to I'm a football player.
Right.
That's when the switch shifts.
And that transition, in the past, that transition would happen in high school.
Right.
Right. Now it's happening earlier, because again, think about it. And I'm not against the NIL. I'm not against any of these things. I'm not against exposure. Hell, I wish I had Huddle. I wish I had Player.
Right.
I wish I had all these things when I was a kid, because it would have promoted me more. But at the same time, I see the opposite, because it's, for a lot of guys, they're so concerned about when the next offer is coming from, when the next deal is coming from, they're forgetting to have fun. But I think that's where, like you said, you as a coach, me as a coach, and I won't even say the parents, because again, the parents are now trying to protect their kids. They're trying to help them build their brands, and they're trying to pay. So parents have kind of switched into business, management, business mode now. So I'm not even going to say it's up to them. You said something key in the beginning about your platform. You wanted your platform to highlight guys like us who are not the head coaches, the athletes. The head coach, he's going to try to make it fun, but at the end of the day, it's his name on the business.
Exactly.
So
right.
He's still business minded.
Right.
And that's where us, as the assistant coaches, the trainers, the outside guys, we have to keep that fun factor in.
Right. We have to keep the levity, because, like my role as a strength coach, and it drives me crazy, because sometimes you live in. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah. No. I got you.
Yeah. Constant anonymity. But then on the sideline, it's like, what are you? You're the get back coach.
Yeah.
You're the fill in the gap coach.
Yep.
You're the counselor coach. You're the hydration coach. You're the concierge everything coach. You're the AT, even though you're not the AT coach.
Yeah.
And it's like you wear so many different hats during the game. And, I wear them all at the same time, because look, I want to win. So when my guys come off to the sideline, it's like, that's where I have my impact on, filling in the gaps, picking up a kid who's down, gearing down a kid who's getting off the rails. But more importantly, and this is why, I differentiate when it comes to this whole idea of strength coach. The title I answer to is sports performance coach.
Yeah.
In familiar terms, it's strength and conditioning, right? I think that term is just completely outdated and needs to be dealt with in a different way, but that's a different topic for another time. I'm a sports performance coach. I enhance your performance, okay? Agreed. So it's not just hammers and nails, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's art for me, so, and I make sure my athletes understand and notice anytime you address me, or anytime we go on visits and go see schools all over the country. I'm a sports performance coach, but in familiar circles, because it's familiar, you say strength and conditioning. It's cool from there.
Well, think about it. So with that, we don't put a value on that in high school. But here's the irony, right? When a college coach is hired, a head coach, one of the first coaches he staffs is this guy. Yep. Sports performance coach, because that person is the person with the athlete more than any coach.
More than anybody. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look at Cristobal when he took the job at the U.
Right.
It was the first thing he did.
Right.
He brought over the strength and conditioning coach,
Right.
or sports performance coach, as you put it.
Yeah, and that's the checklist. That is the check. That is the check down.
Because that's the guy who you said who the athlete's going to be with the most. That's the person who's going to be around the most. That's the person that's going to know how this kid thinks, process everything else. And honestly, we do a disservice to our high school athletes by not focusing on those guys and giving those guys more latitude with our guys. And I'm not saying this, and trust me, I'm not saying this as, a position trainer. I'm you know what I mean? You deal, what you do and versus what I do is similar but different.
Right.
In the sense of, I consider myself kind of like, so to speak, a mercenary, coach for hire, so to speak. I work with everybody and anybody. And not to say I don't have any loyalty, because at the end of the day, anybody who's trained with me or coach, they'll tell you I'm loyal to my guys.
Right.
I've had the same cell phone number since college, and anybody who's ever been an athlete for me, whether as a client or played for me, they know they can call Coach L anytime, any day, and I'm going to.
Right.
And I keep my number the same because of that.
Right.
But I say the value of what you bring to the table, is kind of is not appreciated on the high school level.
No, I mean, it's appreciated in my school, and I still go to stuff there. So the thing is, I always say, the one thing I'm so grateful for. Staff
at your school, you have former college athletes who excelled greatly. You have guys who nearly made it to the NFL. So they have
exactly, they have an NFL touch, right? You know what I'm saying?
They have an appreciation for you that, guess what, the average guy doesn't have. Somebody like me, I appreciate the hell out of you.
Right, facts. You know what I'm saying? And like I know where the love and the respect is involved, because one thing to be respected, but it's also like, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing I can say about my team. And like, I know I'm the oddball. I'm fully aware of that. I embrace it completely. You know what I'm saying? Because these dudes put it down, and they put it down. You know what I'm saying? But the great thing about it is, like, it's not just the respect, but overall, it's like I have the full autonomy. So when I tell these kids, like, yo, this is my speed offense. When you walk into Canarsie, my favorite team is the Niners, you know what I'm saying? And so when you walk in there, like you're walking into Santa Clara. Yeah. So they understand, like, it's a blend of so many different experiences, where Coach Bruce, his guys, Peyton Manning, right? Yeah. So Coach Brian, Sean Taylor, So me is the Niners. So you get a blend of, like, imagine like you hybrided Manning, Taylor, the Niners, and blended that into, along with Canarsi's history, it has a history to itself, okay? House of Pain, right? The dark side. And you blend that all together, and that's who we are. Right. That's who we are over there, And so I'm just always thankful that this is the place where I choose to be right now. But if you want to wrap it, something you want to hammer down, something you want to clock in on, I always give the plugs, you know what I'm saying? The last minute of this, what do you want to give the people real quick? What do you want to tell the nuts and bolts sports audience right now in 60 seconds about New York City football, Lyman Factory, just the state of everything, like, in 1 minute? What do you want to give them?
In 1 minute, I'll say this. New York City's football is nothing new. We've had dogs for a long time. It's just that, guess what? We didn't know how to expose our dogs to the world. Right. So now what you guys are seeing, all of a sudden, because guys are like, oh my God, you guys are not just basketball. We've never been just basketball players. Right. Dogs on the field, and now you're getting bit. That's what it really is. Right. As far as Lyman Factory, listen, like you said, you've been using my favorite phrase, clock in. And
clock in.
Lyman Factory, the reason we use the phrase clock in is because at the end of the day, offensive, defensive linemen, we do the dirty work. We get no credit.
Right.
So I kind of instill that lunch pail, factory worker, blue collar mentality into all my clients. Right. Which is, guess what? We put our heads down, we clock in, we do what we came in, we do our work. You know what I mean? When it's time to eat, we eat greedy.
Say less.
You know what I mean? And that's what it is. And that's what Lyman Factory is. If you walk away with anything from Lyman Factory, you're going to get probably some of the best skill training you're going to get for offensive, defensive linemen. Right. But at the same time, you're going to come out there with a confidence like no other. You're going to understand that, guess what? Without us, the offensive, defense linemen, this game we all love is just catch.
Right. And you heard it there, ladies and gentlemen, straight from Coach's mouth. You know what I'm saying? So I want to, this this conversation continues. We want to get more coaches on the platform, so I'm thankful, Coach, for this
Man, I
episode
would
right
love to be
now.
back, man. Like,
We will
honestly,
kick
I
this
enjoyed this.
again, like I want to be like the Kenny Smith of this thing, so I'm gonna need to have a Shaq and a Chuck, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how it's going to really get live, you know what I'm saying? That's going to really get live. But I want to,
Hey, listen, I'll be a Shaq, the big
facts. So we just need a Chuck. All right, so thank you for your time. Again, this is Coach Rick from Nuts and Bolts Sports. Coach, you got anything else? Are we out?
Listen, this is Coach L from Lyman Factory. Listen, just clock in, do work, and do what we do best. Eat greedy, baby.
All right, we're out. Peace.
All right, later, brother.